Hello, I'm Malcolm.
And I'm Janice. He wanted to run away with the circus, but his mother wouldn't let him.
So he bought his own circus, Circus Royale. Want to meet the man behind the sawdust and the brightly coloured tent?
Damian Syred is our special guest.
Next
on
our time. Oh, your time.
Don't you
Can
love
you smell anything? Sawdust?
No, not in here.
Makeup? No. Isn't the smell of the makeup and the sawdust under your feet?
Oh.
Damien, tell us the truth. Is that the attraction to the circus?
Not so much as sawdust, because that generally means we're having bad weather, so we've and got lots of mud involved, so not so much. I'd say more the popcorn is the smell.
Oh yes, that smell of popcorn, that's true. So tell us how it all began.
Did you really want to run away with the circus when you were little?
Yes, I tried desperately when I was younger. I actually first saw Circus Royale when I was 12 years old, and my mum took me along with my brothers. And I just fell in love with the idea of all these people together, all these talented people doing different things together. And so I told my mum then that I wanted to run away with the circus, and I had no hope. But when they came back 2 years later to Western Australia, I approached them before they came over and asked if I could go and do work experience. My school wasn't overly impressed because I was doing work experience at a circus, but it was something I really wanted to do, and it was my only opportunity.
That's exactly what work experience is for.
Well, that's it. And my mum let me go along because she thought it would get it out of my system, but it did the complete opposite. It made me love it even more, love the people that I was working with, and just that big family feeling, and all these people from all different countries working together.
Did you have to learn tricks? Juggle or something like that?
Oh, back then I only sold show bags, so I wasn't, wasn't doing anything.
They weren't training you for anything.
No.
So you had to go back to school again, obviously, after the work experience was over.
Yes, but before I went back to school, I did ask the owners if they ever sold it, would they promise that they would sell it to me. I was a very eager 14-year-old.
Ambitious.
Pushy kid.
So they told me that, like the circuses, they've had, the family had circuses in their family since the 1400s back in Europe. So I didn't have much of a chance because it was like a heirloom, it got passed down.
Yes.
And they had 3 sons, so I didn't have much of a chance. But years later, I was still doing my, trying to get into the circus, and I was actually managing a circus in New Zealand. And they rang me up and asked me if I was still interested in buying their circus. They wanted to retire, and their children weren't interested in taking over it. And here I am.
Isn't that that is absolutely an amazing story. I hope you're writing a book about this.
No, I was going to say, there's a movie in there somewhere.
Oh, all of that?
One day, maybe. There's no time for that at the moment.
No,
I'm too busy with everything else.
And let's change the initial to PT to start with.
That's it.
But Damien, that really is, that's the boyhood dream come true, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
And that's not working, is it?
It's it's not many people that get to say that their dream came true, and I do have to remind myself that this is my dream, and sometimes it's just like a business like any others. And
of course, but particularly when there's a gale of wind blowing and the tent's jumping up and down.
And
yes, you're in mud and freezing cold.
Move all the cars around the tent and tie them down. Do you still do that?
A lot of the big trucks we do.
The trucks, yeah.
Put extra pegs in. So.
I don't think the public realise, though, how hard that is to keep that whole thing as if nothing's gone wrong.
Yes, definitely, and especially obviously these days there's so many different rules and regulations. So if there is winds, we're constantly contacting BOM to get weather updates and things like that, and then we have certain speeds and things we have to put different procedures into place and cancel, and obviously not to show if it is certain speeds. So.
And you have a language that's all of your own. You just used one there, to show.
Yes.
No, like in show business we say to play, or in television to film or record or live or whatever, but it's...
To show.
Yes,
to show.
To show.
So all those people, where do you find them that perform?
Did they come with the tent?
No, unfortunately. I wish it was that
in
easy.
the early days, they come with the tent.
We have a lot of international performers, so most of our performers are from overseas. I get to go to Europe quite a lot to watch lots of circuses and to pick different performers. But we also have a lot of South American performers that generally contact me. When I first took over the circus, I'd get bag loads of the old VHS tapes every week from people sending auditions, and then it changed to CDs, and now it's just YouTube links. We get them from all over the world, and Circus Royale has a good, name around the world, so, and people know we take a lot of international performers, and we also travel the whole of Australia, so they really get to see the country when they come over.
I guess that's one of the advantages from the performer's point of view. If you were just playing a major capital city, you'd never really see the rest of the country.
Yeah, and there's some circuses that do just stay in sort of Melbourne, and but we travel all the way around, and go to places like Ayers Rock and places like that. That is great for us as well. But the international performers love getting to see those different places, and outback Western Australia and on the way up to Darwin is always an experience and an eye-opener, and those big long trips that some people can't believe that we can travel for over 1,000 kilometres and not go through a town in some of their countries they
just
come
one
from.
long straight road and just keep going.
That's the length of their country.
That's Australia. So. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Because circus has this long history, do you feel that circus is still as relevant today as it was years ago, when nothing much did come through town?
I think so. Like circuses obviously have to reinvent themselves over time, and now we have different music, more modern music, lighting and things like that. But I think and movies like The Greatest Showman and things have definitely helped the industry. But I think
people understand what's behind it more too, do you think?
I think so, and also there's not much clean family entertainment out there these days that is like the circus. Grandparents remember going there and their parents took them and they want to take their grandchildren. So I think that there's always that history and that tradition around.
But was the allure for you the fact there's nothing? Then all these vehicles arrive, and then suddenly there's a tent that grows out of nothing, and then the lights come on and there's a show.
I wagged plenty of days of school when I knew circuses are coming to town, and just to see how they did it all, and it was just this empty paddock or this empty oval, and slowly vehicles would start to arrive and things would start getting put up, animals would get brought out, and yeah, I do think it's like this travelling village. It's like
it is a travelling village, really. Yeah. But then almost overnight, it's all gone.
And then it's all gone again.
And you turn up the next. Where'd they go?
Definitely.
That's amazing.
Did your mother know that you wag school?
She doesn't know.
I think I got caught once.
So, what do you do in the show apart from manage it?
Well, in the circus, you don't just get one job. Everybody gets a lot of different jobs, and I guess I'm no different. So in the show, I'm the ringmaster. I also work with the animal acts and the magician as well. So I do a lot in the show as well.
Does the magician saw you in half then? Something like that?
Well, I'm the magician. I do the sawing.
You do the sawing.
But yeah, so nothing. I'm not swinging from the roof or anything like that. But I do a fair part in the show.
Oh, good.
Well, you have to, because it's all business too, isn't it?
That's it.
And if you're in it, you can see what's happening. You can feel the audience and understand what they're looking for.
And I think that was my love of the circus, and to be a part of it as well, not just running the place, but being in the show, and people remember when we come back to town and
your sparkly outfits.
Different questions.
Do they remember your sparkly outfits?
Yes, they ask me how many times I get changed. And
exactly. How many
tell
times
me if
do
I've
you?
done more or less this year. I'm down. I only do about 15 or 16 changes.
Oh, good. As long as it's not too many.
For a while there, I was up over the 20 mark. But
my goodness.
Getting
so every time you came out, you looked different?
Yes.
Who is this new person? What's he doing?
That's wonderful.
And I just wanted to do something different, and that was something, I really liked getting the costumes designed and doing all that, so that's just what I took on.
But you know, the expression, the greatest showman, is true for you.
I hope so.
There you go.
But
There's
it is,
a compliment for you, Damian.
No, but it is, because you're conscious all the time of what the public are looking for, because that's that part of the job. You have to engage them, because that's that part of the job, and you're also a performer, because that's that part.
And I love nothing more than, standing out after the show and people come up and give you the feedback, and most of the time it's good feedback, and they enjoy the changes, and and they enjoy what we brought to town, and even the small towns we go to, this is the only entertainment they get, and they appreciate that we've driven 2 or 3 days to get there just to show for one day, and then we move on, and some of those kids, they have never seen anything like it, so it is really good.
But in truth, there's nothing like being with live performers and breathing the same air, and you know that and you know, everybody knows exactly what that means, you know, when you see them up there or doing clever tricks and stuff, how do they do that?
And that's what I love, watching the people's faces in the audience, and when you know they're about to do something spectacular.
Yes, and you don't watch that, you watch them.
And that's what I do. I get more enjoyment watching the people in the audience.
Wonderful.
Now, I guess people sitting at home would be saying to themselves, but circuses have animals, and is that a good thing? And welcome to Damian, who is what's your official title?
Owner or ringmaster, I usually go with.
I'd go ringmaster all the time.
Circus Royale.
So, in the old days, circuses had lots of animals, elephants and horses, and performing everything's almost, dancing chickens.
Really? Chickens? So just tell us what you have, Damian, in your circus.
Well, at the moment we only have domestic animals, so we've got camels, horses, dogs. We've got a domestic cat act and geese.
Really?
So,
aren't cats the hardest animal on earth to train?
I think any animal that you find a reward or a treat that they really like will do anything for you. And I think that's half the fun of working with animals, is that relationship you get with them. And I work with the camels and the ponies, and it can also be the hardest thing too, because I can be having a really good day and go in the ring and I have no control over what they're going to do, what they're feeling like, whether they feel like working that night, whether they're just going to come in and play, or whether they're going to come and do their act. And I think we don't give animals enough credit for actually how smart they are. I always joke, because I have 4 ponies, and I always joke in the back door that they're planning on okay, well, tonight we're going to do this, we're going to skip this trick, we'll put this one in, we'll do something different at the end, really confusing. So you never know what is going to happen, but most of the time it goes to plan.
But there'd been a lot of negativity about animals working in circuses. I can only say from my experience that you can't get an animal to do something if it isn't well looked after.
Oh, definitely. And, you know, I am very passionate about our animals. I'm always, consider myself an animal lover. I've, always got lots of dogs and lots of pets. I've always had pets all my life. And I think Australians in general are well, they do look after their animals, and they do like animals. And I think a lot of the negativity comes from social media and things that are seen overseas that I just don't think we would do in this country. But also with the social media and stuff, there's people watching us 24/7 as well. So we can't, there's no way we could treat an animal badly, and people can come and see their enclosures anytime. People are always out there videoing them. So there's no way that you could possibly mistreat an animal and not have somebody see it.
And for it to still work for you.
And that's it. And then they're not going to want to work for you, and then they're not going to come in and look happy in the ring and do what you want them to do either.
Well, I think we also forget that the other performers are animals too, and again, if they're not paid well and fed well, and if they don't exercise properly and wear the right things, they're not going to do it either.
No,
so really, as beings on the planet, however you want to look at it, we all have to work for what we eat or achieve in life.
Well, that's it. And people say that you can't tell whether an animal enjoys it or not. But years ago we had cows, and one of them, she had something wrong with her and she couldn't work. The vet said, just give her a rest. But she was out the back door and pushing and wanting to come into the ring because her music started and the others all went in, and she's like, well, why aren't I in there? I remember ringing the vet saying, every day she's pushing, she's going to do herself more damage. And he said, oh, well, if she's going to try and get in there, let her do it. She obviously wants to be in there. And I don't think that any of the animals we get, don't like, doing what they do. The camels, there's certain, the show changes, the music's always in the same order, and they come up at a certain time to get ready, and most of the time they're waiting because they know, oh, this song's on, it's nearly our turn. So they come up and they're just standing waiting to be brought over to the tent.
Just exactly the same as us when you think about it.
Yeah, just standing in the wings waiting. waiting for
yeah,
our
that's
turn.
it. Listening, going, okay, now it's I've got to start getting ready, got to get changed.
That's funny.
And so I do think they enjoy it.
It's absolutely fascinating. Where do you think the circus is going? Do you think it's going to sort of stay within the format that it is?
I think it obviously have to keep reinventing itself, but I think the circus has had such a long history and has survived things like, TV and even the social media now. We're still surviving, so I think that's not going to go anywhere fast.
We've talked about this before, though, about live performance and how it is so wonderful to be able to be a part of it instead of sitting at home in front of the television or at the movies.
Yep.
You actually are watching this live performance. And, for children, I think it's very important that it continues.
Oh, definitely. And we're members of Live Performance Australia, and even the survey results for ticketing every year, it seems to be getting bigger and bigger every year. So, people are still going out seeing live entertainment and seeing shows.
Wonderful.
Just stay with us, Damian, because we need to take another break and we'll be back in a tick.
So we're talking with Damian Syred about the Circus Royale, but I was just thinking, how many people are with you at one time then when you're travelling like that? It's how many
generally we have
performers?
between 30 to 40 people travelling on the show, so that can be singles, couples, families. We have children on the show, so sometimes when we have lots of children we have a little classroom and we have teachers come in, and when we have less children we just have tutors, and they do it by distance education. But it is really like a travelling community.
It's easier now, though, isn't it, with the internet, that they can literally be on School of the Air or one of those sorts of...
That's it. And even now we've got a young Colombian boy, so he does all his schoolwork online, so he still does school in Colombia.
Oh,
and
really?
Sits there and does it and sends off his books and things at the end of the month.
Isn't
So
that amazing?
it's really amazing.
Fantastic.
And the other kids, so the ones that do it via the internet, they will have like a Skype lesson with the teacher, one-on-one once a week, and then the other lessons are with tutors. And
does the teacher travel too, or do you get a teacher from the area that you're in?
if we have enough children, we have a teacher travel with us as well.
Okay, that'd be
but then
a great job.
they'll get another job at night come showtime as well. So.
But when you think... yes, exactly. But when you think about it, there are so many jobs to do. So do you also have to erect the tent, be involved in all of that? Because there's obviously...
myself at this current point in time, I don't have to. I do more of the admin and those sort of things, and we have a tent boss that looks after that. Yeah, there's been times I've had to, and I actually prefer doing that sort of stuff than being stuck in the office all the time.
Hands on.
Unfortunately, the office is more important most of the time.
Well, I suppose the other question that people would be thinking is, how do you sort of live a normal life in a caravan?
Well, these days the caravans are quite modern, so we have everything in there. Washing machines,
the push-outs and
dryers.
everything?
Yeah, have the push-outs. So, and friends come over and they're like, oh wow, this is a lot bigger than we expected. And before joining the circus, I had an apartment in Scarborough in Western Australia, and people that knew me back then always joke that my caravan's bigger than my apartment. And when I go home at Christmas time, a lot of times the circus is, we end up in Western Australia and we will camp or lay off in the town where my house is, but I'll still stay at the circus each night because I've got all my stuff in my caravan. My dogs are happier in the caravan.
It's your home. It is your home, isn't it?
They don't feel the same when we're staying in the house, so I just like it. I'm just used to it now.
Yeah.
Where do you feel that it's going to take you in the future? Do you feel you'll be doing this as an old man? And then will you be looking for another Damian to say, hey, when you're ready, I'll buy you out? I don't know. I quite often think about it, and I don't see myself doing anything else at this point in time. I'm enjoying doing other projects at the moment, different shows and those sort of things. And You've been working with the dinosaurs, haven't you?
Yes, the dinosaurs, the Jurassic creatures, and I've done some other projects along the way as well. So they're sort of like having a holiday.
Well, you've got a portable venue that you can put anywhere you want.
Well, that's it, and that's the beauty with the big tops. We can sort of put them up anywhere and
put anything inside.
Create totally different venues.
Yes.
Sort of there all the time. So.
Because you've done some other shows as well as circus stuff, haven't you? You've brought other different shows into the country.
Yeah, so I did the Thailand Ladyboys as well in the big top, so that was a travelling cabaret show. And a Circus of Illusions, which was more of a magic show. And so just...
So do you sort of, while you're out there performing and doing stuff, are you looking at the audience thinking, what are they going to want to see next? What do I do next time?
I'm always thinking of the next show because I try and, because we don't go back to the same town with the same show, so I'm always thinking, well, next time I have to sort of better this show. So this year we've got a really strong program, and already in the back of my mind I'm thinking, okay, now how am I going to top this one? Because I've got, they say the 3 big acts is, well, there's 4 big acts in circus. The flying trapeze, which is obviously one of the favourites, but the globe of death, the wheel of death, and the high wire. Well, we've got those last 3 in this year's show. So I think next year I have to put flying trapeze in. So
whatever, yeah.
I don't have a choice. It's the only way to sort of better what we've done this year.
Yeah, it's amazing. But how do the circuses not all end up in the same town at the same time? Do you all talk together?
Unfortunately, no. There's some that sort of communicate and talk about it. There's others that sort of don't let on where they're going. So.
Is that the old family sort of logic in the circus?
Yeah, I think so. And it would make a lot more sense if everyone sat down, because it takes out a lot of the guesswork.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately,
so we'll be there then, or we'll be there then.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But with the circus families, the sort of the father-son, father-daughter hierarchy that has in most cases been going on for years, the fact that you sort of popped up out of the blue, how did the others approach you?
I wasn't too popular at first, but I've slowly sort of proved myself, and a lot of people sort of said that I wouldn't last as long as what I have. So I've been with Circus Royale now own Circus Royale now for 12 years. So I think I've slowly.
It's an amazing story, Damian.
I mean,
your whole background, it's such an amazing story. And truly it is, as you just said, it's a film.
Movie making.
Definitely more interesting now than when I worked at the bank, and I still meet up with some of the people I work with there, and they just love hearing the stories, and it sounds like everything there is still the same as the day I left. So
every day is different for you, I would imagine.
Yeah, and you can't plan anything in the circus. You just don't know what's coming each day, and you can try and plan your day, but there's always something that happens.
Has it been a real highlight for you in the 12 years?
Oh, definitely. I definitely wouldn't change it. I've enjoyed sort of all the people I've worked with.
Yeah.
And all
but
the
has
places.
there been one show, has there been one night or one experience that goes bang, that's going to stay with me forever?
There's probably quite a few.
Hard to choose.
Yeah, I just, I know in some of the Aboriginal communities we travel in country Western Australia, just the kids that come up to you afterwards and just think you're this big superstar, and they can't, they just love the fact that you brought it to town.
Is this hello, this is me when I was young?
Yeah, that's it. But also, the people I've worked with, and now when I go overseas, there's always people to call up to come and visit, and I've always got a place to stay in different countries, and it is amazing, how far our performers have sort of, they've come, they've travelled with us, and they've left and gone back home, and it is sort of. It is sad as well sometimes, because you're with them for 2 years and you're day and night and you see them every day, and then they leave. Do
they repeat though? Would they come back after a few years?
Occasionally we'll give, if people can change their acts, we'll give them a second contract.
Yep.
That's a very interesting point too, isn't it? Because a lot of acts only ever do the same thing. They don't change their act.
Yes. So
that's my act, and I do actually go to the office, so to speak, and push the pen, and then I go home, back to my caravan.
Yeah.
And what do they do for the rest of the time, apart from all the other allocated jobs?
Well, that's it. And performers, they do have it quite easy in terms of, doing the show and just a little bit of preparation before the show. And
I'm on for 10 minutes.
And doing their doing their pre-show jobs, obviously.
Yeah.
But it is a good life and a good way to see Australia.
Fantastic.
Yeah, see, that's the travelogue, isn't it? That's the great way to see Australia. Join the circus.
Definitely.
You've got to be able to do something in the first place.
That's it. You need a truck licence these days.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's another interesting thing.
It's always the most popular thing we're looking for.
A truck licence.
Isn't that amazing?
Have you got a truck
Will you
licence?
join? I could get one. I've worked with the circus. That's sort of how I understand a bit of all of that. And I tell you, it is an amazing life. And you sort of inside, outside, and the circus tent becomes your meeting place,
I'm sure.
your exercise place, your every place, isn't it, really?
Yes, definitely.
Damien,
barbecue's always interesting, everyone bringing all the dishes from different countries.
Yes.
Oh, what a treat.
And yes, but after the show, the barbecues and things after the shows and those sorts of things, the community that you've talked about.
Definitely.
Good luck in the future. And around now, you'd be in Melbourne, I suppose.
Melbourne suburbs, yes.
Yeah. Well, Damien, thank you so much for being part of our time.
Fascinating talking to you.
Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
And thank you for being part of our time. We're coming up soon to our 400th show. Say that quick 6 times.
No, I won't.
400th show, 400th show. We hope you'll be part of that when it comes around very soon. But until then...
Yes. Say good night.
Good night. Say that at the end of the circus.
Good
Go home!
May your days be circus days.
Oh, lovely. Thanks, Damien. Thank you. See you soon. Keep yourself nice till next time.
Take care.